afternoon, so we're going to get started.
Good.
For those who don't know, I'm Lynn Blaze. I am president of the United Nurses and Allied Professionals, as well as a registered nurse here at Our Lady of Fatima for the last 41 years. As you can see, we're all here today, and we're here for one reason. These hospitals need to be saved. Both Fatima and Roger Williams are too important to the community, to the state, and to all of us that work here. These people have been dedicated many, many years to take care of the patients that come through our doors. And there's no way that we're going to sit back and be silent and let these hospitals close. It's too important to us. It's too important to our patients. I'm going to introduce to you Chris Galacci. He's our chief legal counsel, who's done a lot of work when it comes to the sale and the transfer and the bankruptcy of these hospitals. So, Chris?
All right, you guys. First, let me say good on you guys to show up because it's pretty chilly today. The other thing I'm going to say is good on these guys, because these guys are the backbone of this healthcare system. They deserve better than what they get from the governor's office and Secretary Sharris right now. So let me be a little bit more specific here. Last Friday, Prime released a statement regarding Roger Williams and Fatima, and they released it to WPRI. Let's make no mistake here. It was a statement from Prime's Regional VP of Communications and PR. Prime's logo was prominently displayed on that statement. Now, to be expected from Prime, their statement was self-serving. But when we read it, we were aghast. And we were aghast not because it's self-serving, we were aghast because basically the entire statement was attributed to and adopted by the Secretary of Health and Human Services of this state, Rick Sharris. Apparently, with the blessing of the governor, Secretary Sharris is now a proxy and a spokesperson for Prime Healthcare. And there's something fundamentally wrong with that. The thundering obviosity here is that Secretary Sharris is supposed to be representing the interest of Rhode Islanders, not carrying Prime's water. He should be seeing the Centurion deal to the finish line, not undermining it in favor of Prime Healthcare. Need we remind the governor and Secretary Sharris that the Department of Health is under their control and under their purview, and they've already approved the Centurion deal, which is still in process. And their advocacy for Prime is directly and unlawfully interfering with that deal and that transaction. Their actions are going to open up this state to significant legal jeopardy. Now, I got a note here that while Secretary Sharris has decided to be the cheerleader and spokesperson for Prime Healthcare in this state, that he has not mentioned anything about Prime's full record. And there are many brushes with the law. Let me name a few for you so we make it clear to the public what we're dealing with here. 2017, right here in Rhode Island, Prime illegally converted Landmark Medical Center from a for-profit to a not-for-profit entity. They lied to our Department of Health about doing so. They got caught with their hand in the cookie jar. They got fined $1 million for doing that. That's their record in Rhode Island. Let me also remind you further, $65 million settlement in 2018 with the DOJ, United States Department of Justice, involving Medicare fraud at 14 of its California hospitals. They didn't learn their lesson after that. Another $1.2 million settlement in 2019 with the DOJ for Medicare fraud at 2 of their Pennsylvania hospitals. They didn't stop there. 2017 and 18, $135,000 settlement for Medicare fraud at 2 of their hospitals in New Jersey. 2021, not to be outdone, $37.5 million settlement with the DOJ for fraud and kickbacks. Now, I will also note that while Secretary Sharris, while carrying Prime's water, had said nothing about their record in that regard, it is also, as far as we understand, quite clear that he was on the Prime payroll when he worked at Landmark after Prime Healthcare bought Landmark. And we believe that he was working there as a CEO, and we think it's a matter of public record, that he was there from the closing of that transaction on December 31st of 2013 until he retired in February of 2017. that means that he was on their payroll for 3 years. Now, maybe that's a conflict and maybe it isn't, but we haven't heard him reveal publicly that that's the case. So, here's our message to the governor, and here's our message to the secretary. You are supposed to see the Centurion deal through, not be carrying Prime's water, not be interfering with this transaction, because that interference is unlawful. Knock it off, as my father used to say. Get that deal done and do your jobs. One last footnote here. It is an outrage that the Charter Care Foundation, that's sitting on $6.4 million of our money that they got from Charter Care in the Prospect transaction back in 2014, that they won't meet, they won't have a vote, and they won't make that money available for us. It's an outrage. There is no better reason other than saving these hospitals for that money to be available. Get off the sideline, make the money available, and help us get this deal done. Any questions, I'm happy to take them.
First, what do you expect of the governor and the secretary to buck up money, any other type of funding when it comes to finishing the Centurion deal?
We have a $14 billion budget, I think, in this state. They should be able to come up with the funding to cover the losses, to allow Centurion a little bit of breathing room to get that deal done. And they absolutely have to stop carrying Prime's water. As a union, if somebody wants to do due diligence, we don't necessarily have a problem with that. If you want to express an interest in the hospitals, we don't necessarily have a problem with that. But we do have a problem with unlawful interference, and we do have a problem when you nickel and dime the deal. Put the money up. If you're going to say to our guys and the tens of thousands of patients they serve that you're doing everything you can to keep these places open, put your money where your mouth is, put some money on the table, and get that deal to the finish line.
Have you spoken to Centurion's attorneys at this point to see if they're going to take any action against the state?
I have not, and that's up to them.
Do you expect it?
I don't know. I can't speak for them.
Is legal action possible on your behalf, as the union?
The unlawful activity we see is something that doesn't involve us, so we would not be taking legal action.
Would that be an attorney general job then, you think, or where would that?
When I say that there's unlawful activity here, their interference with that deal creates a cause of action that Centurion can or cannot bring. But I will tell you this: as far as we know, Centurion remains committed to the deal. They're not talking about lawsuits or anything like that. They just expect to get a fair shake from the governor and the secretary, instead of them being a proxy for Prime. Anybody else?
For those that haven't been paying the closest attention, where do things stand at the federal court level in the appeals court in Texas?
Are you talking about the bankruptcy court in Texas?
Yes.
All we know is that there's a hearing scheduled, we think, for November 18th. Where the Attorney General will represent our interests and make an appearance on our behalf, give the judge an update on what's happening in the ground in Rhode Island. And of course, we're thinking to ourselves, what is the governor doing? What's the secretary doing? Get focused here. There's a motion filed to close these hospitals by December 31st. We're running out of time. Stop horsing around. Knock it off and get it done.
Do you think that the motion to close is quote-unquote normal, or do you think it's like a sabotage deal by the company?
I don't know if it's normal. Here's what I know. It's pending, which means we don't have any time to play around. We certainly don't have time for Secretary Sharis to be a spokesman for Prime and interfere with a deal that we would describe as, what do you call it, a bird in the hand? We have no commitments from Prime. Let me remind everybody here that it wasn't too long ago that the only interested party in Memorial Hospital of Rhode Island was Prime. And they looked at that deal and they walked away from that deal, and that hospital is closed. We have no commitments publicly from Prime whatsoever. So why are we playing around?
You've also had to deal with Prime with Landmark Medical Center. You have workers that are represented by UNAP there.
Yes.
Other than all the issues that they've had elsewhere in the country, what is it like to deal with them here locally already?
Well, I had the experience of representing our union during the receivership at Landmark and having to deal with Prime. And their position was that when they came to buy that hospital, they took away people's holidays, they took away people's sick time, they took away people's vacation time, they took away people's step increases. That was a rough go. And then as soon as we had our first negotiation with them after they owned the place, the contract expired, we ended up with a really poor medical insurance plan. And their experience with workers across the country in many of these hospitals is legion, and it ain't good.
Could you spell your name for us, please?
Kalachi. Callaci.
Michael, the normal way.
Sorry?
Your first name is the normal way?
Chris.
Sorry.
Chris. It's going Chris. Cristobal.
But thank you guys for coming out. It's important. We'll keep on top of everything. Thank all of you guys for coming out.